and welcome to another episode of Do Go On. My name is Dave Warnke, and as always, I'm here with Matt Stewart. Hello, Matt.
Hey, Dave. Quick question. How good is it to be alive?
Well, I think it's pretty good, but I'm going to check in with a third person right now for their opinion. And please welcome back to the show. We are so stoked to have none other than the one, the only, Alasdair Tremblay-Birchall.
It is me, none other.
Hello.
David, Matthew.
So good to have you in here.
Jessica. Jessica's absent, but, or is it Bopica on this pod?
Yeah.
I
we
said
call
this.
it Bop, short for Bopica.
Yeah,
it's
Bopica.
Bopica.
Yeah.
I think she answers to both.
Yeah, great.
Can you believe it's block once again?
I can believe it because I sit on my hands until block arrives.
So when your hands are numb and you're
right.
doing various things with them,
and then I write a report, so it feels like someone else is writing it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Al, I only speak to you during block. I haven't spoken to you for over a year.
Yeah, and it's been a very good year in that regard. But I have been sitting by the phone and thinking about topics that I could do, and then none of them lined up with the topics that would be on blocks.
Because your previous block topics, I don't know if they've all been in block, but your previous trilogy of topics were Keen for Peen,
yep,
Lit for Clit, Whacker for Cloaca.
Yeah. Canonically, I refer to them as the history of orifices.
Yes,
trilogy.
The trilogy.
Yeah,
the first trilogy.
Yeah,
could be a second.
Yeah, there could be a prequel trilogy.
Oh, think about that. Hey, what happened before Holes?
You're just waiting for the special effects to catch up.
Yeah,
before you do your prequel.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I want to replace Jabba the. Forget it. I was trying to make a reference to Star Wars and it didn't work. So this time I'm back, and this time it's a you're going to find this very hard to believe, but this is a non-orifice themed podcast.
Okay, that's so strange.
So there's no holes at all involved with this?
Actually, you're closer to than you might think. There might not even be an indentation.
Oh my God. Well, before we get into the topic, Matt, should you explain to new listeners who might not know what is Blockbuster-tober?
Blockbuster-tober, or Blocktober grace period, as some people refer to it as, is the most joyous time in the Do Go On universe's year. And it's where we do the biggest topics. We put them up to a big public vote, and we've had thousands of voters, and now we're counting down the top 9 most voted for / most requested topics of 2023. We're up to the 8th most voted for topic now with Alasdair Tremblay-Birchall. And Al, I mean, we kind of know what the topic is because we had to give it to you.
Sure.
But do you have a question to get us onto the topic?
I sure do. Hopefully everybody ignored the title when they clicked on the link to see what the episode was going to be.
Everyone goes in blind.
Okay, here we go. Now, we all know that Nikola Tesla's greatest invention was alternating current, electricity. Right?
Akadaka.
That's right. Well, not the DACA part.
Not the DACA. He was just the ACA.
Yeah, he was just the ACA.
Who came up with the DACA?
Yeah.
I
think that was
Brian
Edison.
Johnson.
Edison.
Bon Scott.
Yeah.
Bon Scott was the Edison.
That's right. To
Malcolm Young's Tesla.
That's right.
Sorry, Angus.
Now, but what do you think was his potential worst thing that he ever did?
Ooh. Oh, so is it an invention? Or is it just...
I would say it's the potential result of one of his inventions.
I'm going to say giving naming rights to Elon Musk.
Yes, that's exactly it. We did it. All right, that's it. Close. No. According to some conspiracy theorists, it's the Tunguska impact. The Tunguska event.
Ooh.
Oh, an impact, an event.
That's one of those words I've only ever seen written down. And I love hearing how it's pronounced.
Yeah. It's it's I believe it's of a Russian origin, or what some would call Siberia, because that's the region that it happened in, right by the Tunguska River.
Were any huskies involved?
Several huskies.
Yeah?
Tunguskis.
Several local Tunguskis.
Yeah. All right. Now, I want you to take your mind to Siberia right now, right?
Okay.
To to the Siberian taiga, and I'm talking taiga, Taiga, not Tiger.
Okay.
Okay, you should see the pictures in my mind swirling.
Taiga is
It went from a big cat to now like a big question mark.
Yeah, no. Taigas are just essentially just subarctic forests, very large. There's some in Canada. There's some in Russia. Very close as you approach the North Pole. Very important forests for our climate.
What, gum trees?
I you know what? I can't tell
Ghost
you the
gums?
types of trees. Probably gums, maybe.
Yeah.
I think there's probably some pine in there.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
Probably
some cedars.
A
I'm not sure.
large hedge maze.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That's right, yeah. I mean, every forest is itself kind of a hedge maze. That's just a bit
Is
more.
the Wurundjeri hedge maze there?
Yeah, Wong Dilagong. Yeah, that seems Russian. Okay, now picture this. You're in Siberia.
Okay.
Your name is Ivan Aksionov, and you're carving up an elk that you just killed. When suddenly you see a flaming orb flying towards you.
Whoa.
After you come to, you see that you're surrounded by burning, falling trees. As you make your way through the landscape, first to return to camp, then to try to extinguish the fire, you no longer recognize the familiar hunting grounds that you once knew. Everything has been rearranged, mountains shifted, and wetlands unsettled, so that new lakes fill depressions in the ground.
Whoa.
Now, I want you to picture that you're a woman named Akulina, and you were sleeping in your suede-covered tent when you're awakened by a violent tremor. When you step outside, the forest is on fire. You hear a crashing sound. You see a dazzling light, and then you faint. When you regain consciousness, your possessions are smoldering, and your skin is burned.
Oh. Possession smoldering sounds good, but not skin burned.
Sure.
But I love that the light. What was it? What was dazzling? Oh, look at that light. I'm dazzled by it.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah, a
fantastic.
dazzling light.
I
Yeah.
will say that I don't know if suede is the best tent covering.
No, you don't think so?
Because what I learned on Seinfeld, it doesn't do well in the rain.
Sure, but then you're in a very remote part of Russia, and therefore there's fewer people there to judge you.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and now, thirdly, and possibly finally, you now picture yourself as someone called S.B. Semenov of Vanavara, a town about 60 kilometers southeast of the epicenter of the Tunguska event, right? And you're sitting on the porch of a house at the trading station of Vanavara at breakfast time and looking towards the north. You've just raised your axe to hoop a cask.
To hoop a cask.
To hoop a cask.
Yeah, you're about to hoop a cask. You know when you put a hoop around like a cask to hold it together, like a barrel or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what the axe does, but this is what he's saying. And
I
you're
thought
using
that
a-
was real jargon.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, are you speaking actual Russian here? Hoop a cask.
Hoop a
Okay.
cask. When suddenly in the north above the Tunguska Road, the sky is split in two, and high above the forest, the whole northern part of the sky appears to be covered with fire. At that moment, you feel a great heat, as if your shirt had caught fire. This heat comes from the north side. You want to pull off your shirt and throw it away. At that moment, there's a huge bang in the sky and a mighty crash is heard. You're thrown to the ground about 5.5 meters away from the porch,
Wow.
and for a moment you lose consciousness. Your wife runs out and carries you to the hut. The crash is followed by a noise like falling stones from the sky or guns firing. The earth trembles, and when you lay on the ground, you cover your head because you're afraid that stones might hit it. At the moment when the sky opens, a hot wind, as from a cannon, blows past the huts from the north, and you feel its mark on the ground in the form of little paths, damaged onion plants.
Oh, no.
No, I was going to eat those.
Later,
Wait, are they damaged in a way that they've been cooked perfectly?
that's why they're roasted and they're
Oh,
browned
my
to
God.
perfection. Later, it turns out that many panes in the windows have been blown out, and the iron hasp in the door of the barn has been broken.
Not the hasp.
No, that was my favorite house.
Oh, God. First I had the cask, now I've got the hasp.
And then when the fire appears, you see Kosolopov, who was working near the window of the house, sitting down on the ground, seize his head with both hands and then run into the hut.
Kasalapov, are you okay?
Oh, I was thinking, first he was working, now he's on the ground. Come on, mate.
Yeah. What could have done this?
Working hard or hardly working, Kasalapov.
What could have done this? There's so many things. There's orbs, there's fire skies, there's stones.
The mountains literally moved location. That's the wildest thing.
Yeah. New lakes.
What could have done this? The year is 1908.
Ooh.
It's 7:13 a.m. on June 30th. Maybe it's an end of financial year blowout.
The big sale we've all been waiting for.
What has happened is that nearly 800 square miles of boreal forest have been flattened, and entire herds of reindeer have been left in charred piles.
Oh.
This explosion, its effects were seen and felt around the world. A man 40 miles away was thrown from his chair.
Around the world. 40 miles away, a guy fell from a chair.
One distant witness reported seeing pillars of fire with the rising sun. Seismographs in Western Europe recorded seismic waves from a perturbation, suggesting that somebody might have been perturbating.
I'm perturbed by
Oh
that.
man, the worst time to get done perturbating.
Yeah, absolutely. 5 hours later, after the event, it was registered as there was an air blast registered at 6 different meteorological stations in England, 6,000 kilometers away. Newspapers reported strange glowing clouds, colorful sunsets, and a luminescence in the night, a glowing night reported as far as Europe, allowing people to read newspapers at nighttime from that very glow. The very newspapers that reported that very glow.
Whoa! Wait, how's that? That's a long glow, I guess.
It's a very big glow.
Or a very quick delivery
It went
boy.
for a few days. It went for a few nights.
Bloody hell.
International newspapers speculated about a possible volcanic explosion, remembering, of course, the eruption of Krakatoa in 1883, only a mere 25 or 26 years earlier. However, the inaccessibility of the region and the unstable political situation in Russia prevented further research. Okay, so it wasn't until this event wasn't properly investigated for 19 years. What is this? An allegation by a famous comedian that he acted inappropriately? All right. That was my joke for that. Most of the witnesses were indigenous people to the area, Evenki, herders and hunters. Now, from the beginning, the Evenki were inclined to keep the news quiet because they were nomads and they lived in quite a remote location, which meant that they kind of were able to escape taxation from Russia.
And it was 30th of June.
Yeah, that's right. 30th of June. You want to keep quiet. You don't want them to find all your paperwork.
I mean, and it's a miracle. Like, all my receipts have been burned.
Yeah.
They can't get me. The paper trail is gone.
That's right.
This is a miracle.
Sorry.
The explosion was just the sound of a bunch of nomadic people turning on their shredders.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, sorry. My reindeer ate my taxation documents, and then a huge explosion charred my reindeer.
Oh, it's a tale as old as time itself.
So, and because they were, Russia was in a kind of weird political empire situation, they preferred not to call attention to themselves, right? So they didn't really want, and they were particularly wary of outsiders examining rocks because that meant that people might, there might be discover gold, and then there might be a gold rush in the area, and then they'd get pushed off their land. So other Evenki, these are the indigenous people, warned other people not to speak about the explosion, because it might attract dangerous curiosity. Some Evenki spoke about the event as potentially an act of Ogdi, a spirit in their animalistic belief system. According to one version of the story, rival shamans had been fighting with the help of disease-bearing spirits, and now one of the shamans had called on Ogdi to destroy enemy land and with a flock of iron birds. And this was the source of the fiery orb and the thousands of acres of flattened forest.
Iron birds.
Yeah,
That's sick.
if you're a shaman, that's what you call upon.
Yeah.
I think. Did I say there's like 800 million trees had been knocked down?
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, I think I was saving some info for later, but I couldn't help but spill
That's
it.
a lot of
800
trees.
million trees.
Something 800 or 80. I'll wait till I get to the info later.
And they're all gums.
Well, it says boreal. What's boreal mean?
Yeah, is that anything to do with like Aurora Borealis? You know, is that
It's, it just, it
they
is
both are-
related to that because it's just of the northern regions,
Right.
relating to characteristic of the climatic zone south of the Arctic, especially the cold temperate region dominated by taiga. Siberian taiga, of course, as you know.
Gums.
Gums, that's right.
so taiga are trees?
Taiga is forest. Is like
Forest,
a type of.
that's
It's
right.
like it's like tundra. You know,
The icy tundra.
it's like tundra, but it's its own thing. It's a separate thing, and so therefore not tundra.
That's so good.
Okay. Now, so it wasn't until 1927. So sorry. So before, when I said that it wasn't investigated properly for 19 years, what I meant to say is that some of the indigenous people did walk over to it and kind of go, "That was insane."
Yeah.
And they saw the knockdown trees, right? But then nobody who was studying it from like a scientific point of view didn't examine it until 1927. So, 19 years later, right? And there was a Soviet scientist called Alexeyevich Kulik. Now, Kulik's a big player in this. He had just recently gotten interested in meteors because somebody had told him about a meteor, but they also knew the exact location of it. And so he went there and then he just looked in the hole and he found the meteor. And he was like, you know what? This has started a lifelong passion for me in finding meteors, right? So he decided that he was going to go investigate this thing. And so in 1927, he went up there, but he realized that this is such a remote region that he's going to need to use people who have indigenous knowledge of the area and things like that. Maps were not super helpful.
Because that's what happens when you have your first meteor and it's that easy. Someone goes, "It's over there," and you look and go, "Oh, there it is."
Yeah.
You think they're all going to be that easy.
It feels like that's the kind of technique that like casinos have
Yes.
used with like pokies or whatever like that. They give you a little win.
Yeah, or a drug dealer gives you a free sample. Hey, now you got to pay for the next one. You got to go to Siberia for this next hit.
It's the same thing with asteroid hunting. The first taste is free. And then the rest is you got to do it. A lot of you got to pay for. Sometimes with your life.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Right. So Kulik was introduced to some of the indigenous people. Actually, a relative of the woman I mentioned earlier. He was introduced to this by an ethnographer who had been studying some of these people's cultures and writing down some of their experiences. And so he advised Kulik on, hey, don't offend the Evenki people. They're very wary of outsiders and things like that. Anyway, and so Kulik didn't take any of this advice, and he was a real jerk to them, and he was berating them for taking too long of a break on the journey up there and things like that. And then they were like, well, you know what? You actually have to pay us more now. And so then anyway, he had to deal with that. But then once they got to the edge of where the blast radius
That
was,
is a common thing that's come up in the past where people with like very specific knowledge that someone's after is ignored.
Yeah.
And they're annoyed by them even trying to give it.
Yeah. It's like,
I always think about the Burke and Wills. I think it was Burke they're Aboriginal Australians who were trying to help him. He's struggling. He's dying of starvation. They're trying to help him. And I think it was him or one of the others, shot over their head to scare him away. Just shot it at like... Man, I'm trying to save your life, but whatever.
yeah, you look like you're not doing well, buddy. Hawaii, get away from me!
Come on. I've looked up, because there'll be some tree heads out there.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
What do you call tree people?
Tree people. Arborists?
Arborists. There'll be some arbor heads out there.
Yeah.
Apparently, Siberian larch is coming up as the most common tree in Siberia.
Right.
But I've also seen Siberian fir, Siberian spruce, Scots pine, aspen, and other things as well. But yeah, the fact that three of them have Siberian in their name makes me confident that they're from the region.
I'm glad that you weren't afraid to say that out loud,
Yeah, I wasn't. But we'll edit it out if it does make me sound foolish.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
If any arbor heads are listening and they're like, that's wrong, just edit it out of your memory.
Yeah.
Save us the trouble.
Snip it.
What is the top of a tree called? Is that called it's not called the crest of a tree or something, is it?
I don't know.
Anyway, I thought
It forms a canopy, maybe?
Yeah.
Is that part of it?
Yeah, I was just trying to find another word for arbor head that's like, the canopy.
Treetop.
The tree top. There you go.
They're very literal, these people. Siberian tree top.
And so Kulik made it to the edge with the Evenki people, and their herd of reindeer that was hauling their provisions. And then they were like, "Well, we're not going any further. This area is obviously cursed."
It's like he was just edging to the side.
He was edging to they were edging him closer and
to the
closer.
orifice.
He might have been edging himself,
Yeah.
but with their help,
Okay.
under their supervision. And then when he saw it, he said, at first sight, the trees, the entire large forest in the mountains had tumbled onto the ground in solid rows, right? The Evenki refused to continue to the epicenter, which they considered dangerous and perhaps cursed, and surely due to Odgi's anger, right? So Kulik then, he knew he wouldn't be able to survive without them, so he turned back, and then he had to return later on with a group of non-indigenous people who would firstly do everything that he said, and he would be able to venture further. And so then on his second closer inspection, Kulik saw that the fallen trees were all oriented outwards from a central point.
Ooh.
Right? Perhaps this was the place that the meteor had hit, he thought. This search was particularly difficult because he'd obviously ignored the advice about how little game that there was in the area, because of the destruction of the forest. And so while they were out there trying to search the area, they were having to survive largely on the stems of herbs because there were no beasts to hunt.
Siberian herbs?
It says here Siberian herbs. Yeah.
Wow.
So what are we thinking here? Siberian spruce mint?
Yeah, maybe Siberian spruce
Siberian mint,
Yeah.
Siberian coriander,
Siberian rosemary.
Siberian rosemary. Imagine that, just eating a twig of rosemary.
You got to eat a lot to, get your days worth.
Yeah. And so apparently this was, this wasn't necessarily a very good time. Apparently he may have had to resort to
Siberian time.
He may have even had to resort to eating his own horse, Siberian horse.
Well,
Siberian eat.
I mean,
his
that's
Siberian
taking
horse.
us back to Burke and Wills again. He had to eat his favorite horse.
I mean, it's not a great solution, is it?
No.
But
you got to put the rosemary on something.
that's true. Yeah. I mean, if only there was a way you could eat a bit of the horse,
Yes.
and the horse still kind of be in, like friends with you.
Yeah, and still be able to carry a load.
Yeah.
If you took a bit off each foot, so you kept it.
That seems like the worst bit to take a bit of.
A bit of eat, but then they're at the same height. Because you take one whole leg, obviously it's harder for them to move around. But if you just, an inch a day.
Yeah. Well, I reckon if you maybe, because have you ever seen like people like carving like cow hoofs or horse hooves or whatever like that? That stuff is basically like fingernail or something like that, right? Because I think
It's just keratin. Yeah, it is.
So
It's just because I think the horse's hooves, they originally had toes.
Yeah.
And it's evolved so it's one big toenail, basically.
Yeah, it's just they're standing on their toe.
Did it evolve because people were eating their toes?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody already thought of what you were saying. They ate all the toes, and they go, that's all the toes we can eat. And then suddenly it was one bloody four-toed horse.
A freak horse with 4 toes.
Yeah. But anyway, he wasn't able to find an impact zone. He wasn't able to find a crater. But what he did notice is that directly under what he believed was the blast's epicenter, all the trees were still standing up.
Oh.
Yeah.
So there'd been like a blast. The bit around it was okay, but then there was like a blast zone. It wasn't like a ring.
It wasn't entirely okay. All the branches had been like stripped off of them.
Right.
But the trees were still standing.
So these are all dead. So it's like they've all been paused in time?
Yeah. Well, I think the standing ones might still be alive, but everything else has been knocked down and is,
even in the near 20 years, nothing. It's just it's still down.
Because you picture like Australian bushfire areas.
Yeah.
The next season there'll be regrowth and it'll change. So 19 years it would look totally different. But is this still looking pretty similar to how it was at the time?
Well, I assume so. I mean, I know from
Were you not there?
My drive to Tathra, because there was fires there around that area in 2019, sort of along the coastal road there, and there was some in Tathra in 2017 or 14. I can't remember exactly, but you do see that the trees get completely burnt like that, but then you get that weird thing where like the leaves start growing it right out of the trunk.
Yeah.
And so I think also the trees were burnt in this circumstance as well.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, so that was, I don't know. So
very different climate, I guess, as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this would have been summer, so at least it wouldn't have been like frozen over in the same kind of way. But I you know what? I don't really know exactly what the subarctic looks like in early at the end of June as you're about to do.
And
your
you're
taxes.
a Canadian,
and I'm a Canadian, and I've spent a lot of time in Siberia, therefore, on the other side of the world.
Don't you? Oh no, it's Alaska. You can see
Alaska,
Russia across the.
That's true. Yeah. But Alaska feels very close to Canada.
Well, I think in a lot of ways it borders.
So really,
Canada.
And since Alaska is only a short ocean away from Siberia, and I'm only a short Alaska away from being able to look at that short ocean. But it's basically next door.
I wasn't saying, because you didn't say Siberian, you said subarctic.
Yeah.
Which, isn't that what Canada is? But
well, yeah, some parts of Canada. Yeah. Some parts of Canada are actual Arctic as well.
I'll wait for
most
the apology.
Most of the North Pole, I think, is in Canada. It's part of Canada, I think.
Most of the North Pole?
North, that kind of like Arctic.
The Arctic
the
circle.
Arctic area. I'm not sure exactly where.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah, that's right. I think the North Pole, you know what I meant. It's like calling, a fridge by, its brand name.
As a side, I don't know.
It's like calling tissues Kleenex.
What are you talking about?
That's why I call the Arctic North Pole.
But not Kleenex.
Not Kleenex, but it does look like a Kleenex from afar.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
Similar hue.
Yeah, very similar hue. So all the limbs from these trees and bark had been stripped away. They looked like a forest of telephone poles. Such debranching requires fast-moving shock waves that break off a tree's branches before the branch can transfer the impact momentum to the tree's stem. You know what that means? Yeah, you get that? So as in if I was to try to push on your arm, right? Let's say you extend your arm and I was to push on your arm, that would eventually push you.
Yeah.
Right? But if I was to push on your arm so fast that it just clean snapped your arm off.
Like hit by a train or something.
Yeah, exactly. Or let's say a passing, like a giant bullet.
Like a really big bullet.
Let's say
a steel bird.
Like some kind of steel bird, exactly, sent by a shaman, with a gun. Now these cold and malnourished Soviet scientists on Kulik's expedition, meanwhile, they were starting to descend into a drunken brawls and affairs with locals, and one member of the team carved a poem into the tree at the epicenter. It said,
Burger Will style.
That's what you do.
That's a brawl.
Yeah.
I've never been in a pub brawl that hasn't had someone stop and carve a poem into a tree.
I mean, it's that, it's the 8 Mile of its day.
Yeah.
You're spitting rhymes onto a tree, with a knife.
And are you doing it, or are you dictating? Like you're rapping and someone's like, slow down. What was that last bit? Hang on.
Well, it's so hard to come up with a rhyme whilst you're speaking. So you may as well start carving, and then by the time you finish one, line A, might even be able to come up with the rhyme.
Yes, that's the kind of freestyling I could do.
Yeah,
one letter at a time.
Plus,
how's he come up with this?
Exactly. And so here it says, "In vain, Kulik, you wander. In vain, you tear out the shfagum." I think that's like moss and stuff like that, right? Because they're digging. Nasty. They're digging underground to try to find any meteor material. You will not see a meteor. Now they're disparaging him. You can see that. They don't believe in him, and you will leave the taiga in shame. Well, this disgruntled investigator and another colleague, a member of the Communist Party, started to denounce Kulik, who wouldn't share his chocolate or coffee with his team. Right?
Okay.
So they reported him to the authorities, because I guess if you're communists, you got to share everything. Yeah. Right?
The good times and the bad.
Yeah. And so then Kulik had to defend himself and because some colleagues spoke up for him, but he had to spend several months in a sanatorium to recover from the stress of this denunciation, and then all the health effects that he had to deal with from all these expeditions where he was finding almost nothing.
6 months of eating moss,
eating
and
a lot of
chocolate and coffee.
Yeah, hang on a second.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. And Siberian rosemary.
But it sounds. What if I was not expecting it to go here? Drunken brawls, affairs with locals, poems being written, denouncing the leader.
Yeah, because you just remember, like, in the end, it's just like one guy who's like, I'm going to go investigate this. And then he would raise some funding. Apparently, he was very good at raising funding for these kinds of expeditions. So it says here like that, like his greatest public relation coup was his decision to recruit the tabloid press to write alarmist articles about the prospect of him dying in the wilderness, unless he received money for the research, And so he would sort of paint himself as this great hero who was going there, a hero scholar who was going there and making sure, he created stories about bandits who were after him, and that he was there to figure out what this thing was. And it inspired a children's board game called Taiga for a Meteorite, which went on sale in 1929. And the same year, a documentary about the expedition was released. So, like, he was,
it's good salesman.
All these people who are like leaders in their field. Like, I find it's like you have to look at everybody who's successful with some suspicion, because in order to be super successful and popular, you just have to have that weird fucked thing inside you that is capable of asking for it, and really like pushing beyond the limits that most people aren't willing to. And I think there's a weird drive that I feel like is a little bit ugly that makes people, anyway, whatever. Sorry, that's my own. That's my own notes.
He's like a PR man. Maybe he doesn't have that many scruples. Would you say he's?
I would say he is
low on scruples?
Completely without scruple.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, I think is the most efficient way I could put that.
And he's telling people, like, without the funds, I'll die. So he's like being like, I mean, the blood will be on your hands. That's fine.
Right. Yeah.
If you're happy to live with my death.
Exactly.
Without your money,
I'm choosing to go on.
That's fine. I'll obviously I have to go. Without your support, that's fine.
And so after all that, right, the lack of any identifiable impact site, he explained away by saying it was just, the ground was too swampy, right? It was too soft to preserve a crater.
Gotcha.
Right?
The swamp ate my crater.
That's right. Tell that to the bloody tax office. And then, so because there was no physical, despite there being no physical evidence, Kulik still called the event the Flimanovo, the Flimanovo meteorite. And that's why we all call it that from
I've heard of it.
Yeah, from that day on. Now, after all his expeditions, in 1941, there were some quite big bombs that were dropped on Japan, some nuclear ones that started to trigger some people's minds, going, those blasts, and you're looking at the blast radius and everything like that, that's very similar to the kind of blast that there was at Tunguska. So maybe it was a nuclear blast of some sort, right? And so that's kind of started more speculation about what could have happened, right? Because, it was a huge area. It was like, like something like 50 kilometers by 70 kilometers was the radius of, like, that's a tremendous amount of force to knock that many trees over.
That's so big.
So people were speculating, and so one of their inspirations was a short story by an engineer called Alexander Kazantsev. And as he brooded over the description of one of the explosions in Japan, he realized that it reminded him of the Tunguska event. He said, a blinding sphere brighter than the sun, a fiery column that pierced the clouds, a dark mushroom about a cloud above it, the roars of thunder heard for hundreds of kilometers, the earthquakes. What if this had been an atomic explosion? What if it had been caused by a nuclear-powered alien spacecraft.
Oh, yes.
I'm so glad you said it. I wasn't sure if I'd spoil it by guessing that. Because that's
Man.
what I've been thinking the whole time.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, we don't know. Like, especially at this time, we don't know how far away. I mean, we probably know how far away the stars are to a certain extent, but we don't know how difficult traveling through the universe might be.
We've estimated, but we've never been able to go out with one of those sticks with a circle on it where you roll it along.
Oh, and it
That's
makes
right.
a click every meter.
Exactly, yeah. And the only difficult thing is that you got to pave space in order to have something to roll the stick on.
With good intentions.
With good intentions. So around this time, now in the 1940s, was when suddenly it became like speculation time, right? Everybody really started, it became much more popular. And then they also opened up the area to foreigners so that they could, and made it more easier for people to go there and visit it, and so that they could investigate themselves.
Wow, they build like a theme park there.
The No Crater theme park or whatever like that. The knockdown tree. Oh, come lie down like a knockdown tree. Yes. Have a nap on one of these horizontal trees. But then like the first group to go was like a group from Japan who viewed the site not as evidence of extraterrestrial life, but as a graveyard of their ancestors. They believed that several millennia ago, a Japanese society discovered the secrets of nuclear power and spaceflight. When they tried to come back to Earth, they crashed at Tunguska. Visiting the site was a way of honoring these lost ancestors and perhaps reuniting them with some way. So straight away it becomes like just a place for kooky ideas,
How many people were in on that? Was that like a lot of people? Or is that one guy who's just written a story and forgotten he made it up?
It says a group, so I would say more than two. It could be three. I would say maybe a minibus worth.
That's a wild tale.
Yeah, and
I'm all in on it.
And knowing that they were Japanese, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to make sure, I don't know if the minibus was invented at that stage in 1941. I think probably just had regular sized buses at the time. So I apologize if that seemed inconsistent. So then this began the speculation wheels a turning, right? Some physicists proposed that maybe a small black hole collided with our planet and passed through the Earth, but like a very small black hole. Very small.
Like a pinprick.
Yeah, well, genuinely, there's this unproven concept called a primordial black hole, which the idea is that they weren't created by suns collapsing, but they were created in the very first moments of the Big Bang. And it was just there was so much energy, and matter was packed so tightly together that it created these things that could have been like Planck length, which is the smallest length anything could be, right? So way smaller than an electron or anything like that, right? Like it's like thinking it's like the pixel size of the universe, right? And the idea that there could be these things that exist but that fly through the universe, and some, the speculation would be that these could be things that maybe seeded supermassive black holes that exist in the universe now, or but that they could be flying around a high energy and just like pass through Earth.
Yeah.
And but you'd think that there would be an exit wound if it had done that.
Unless it's lodged in the core.
Yeah, it might have got lodged in in the Earth's ribcage.
That's right. Yeah, but then wouldn't that cause us all to collapse into it?
I'm not sure. Infected.
They get infected. That's right. You get bacteria. Moon bacteria, space bacteria.
Yeah.
Maybe not moon.
But that's when maybe like some ancient Japanese people probably worked on a solution.
That's true.
And some sort of time travel.
And they would have stopped that. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. I'm sorry I didn't see that in my thing, but I haven't done that much research. Were you about to ask a question?
Well, no, I was just wondering so you said tree people are arborists.
Yeah.
And the northern area are
arboreal.
So would a northern tree expert be a boreal arborist?
I think so, yeah.
That's one of the most satisfying things to say.
Yeah.
Arboreal arborist. Arboreal arborist. I'm an arboreal arborist. What do you do? Nice to meet you. I'm an arboreal arborist. I'm Alasdair Arboreal Arborist Tremblay-Birchall.
Well, I mean, I would get rid of the Tremblay then. Arboreal Arborist Birchall.
You'd have to.
Yeah, well, you can't. And birch is a type of tree.
Oh my god. Could you be arboreal arborist?
I'm pretty sure Tremblay is a reference to a tree as well. Tremblay.
Are you a tree man?
I'm a double tree man. It's from Normandy.
I think you should change your name to Alasdair.
Alasdair
Tremblay-Birchall.
That's a fucking good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, people are already upset by the spelling of my name. Anyway.
And so they should be.
So yeah, look, I'll just go through some. AJ, if you need to cut a lot of this, you feel free to. I'm so sorry if this is dragging on. Has this been gone too long already?
No.
No way. I mean, last week we did 6 hours.
Okay, yeah,
You're 43 minutes in. You're all good.
All right. Well, I'll just give you.
When are we going to get onto the main topic?
The main topic, yeah. Well, I'll basically I will describe exactly what happened, or as far as we know, at the end there.
Is this a mystery topic? Don't tell me.
I'm treating it like a mystery topic.
I want a definitive answer by the end.
I mean, I want to put my money on something. Early on, I'm thinking tiny black hole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Early on, I'm thinking Japanese people in a minibus.
So it was the people on the minibus that actually did it.
Yeah. That's their cover story.
Yeah. It was actually us. We came back to a criminal always returns to the scene of the crime.
That's right.
So roughly 40 years later.
And they often keep like little keepsakes from their crimes. So if you look in their house, you probably find a meteor.
Or a tiny black hole.
Yeah. Or
both.
Or a minibus.
Yeah. That's right. Swap that for evidence.
So another theory, of course, was that Nikola Tesla was working on his
yes.
wireless transmission device that could also be used as a weapon that would be able to eliminate full armies, and that somebody was doing some expedition in the Arctic, that may be the first expedition to the Arctic. So he decided to what he was going to do is just test it out over the Arctic, and I think he sent the guy a message, the explorer, and said, check out the sky. Just a note. And he said, what should I check out for? He goes, you'll know it when you see it. Like that. And he was going to create from wherever he was, right? Some light in the sky. And but he missed, and he accidentally got it over Siberia and created, and it was more powerful than he thought. And it created the thing. So that's
always the way.
That's right. It's so hard when you're testing your first wireless electrical death ray.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, honestly, those who haven't had a death ray going wrong, cast the first stone.
That's right. Cast the first electrical beam. Cast the first iron bird. Now, of course, it could have been antimatter. Some people suggest it was antimatter because of the nuclear type blast that, I think when antimatter and matter touch each other, I think they cancel each other out and would release a lot of energy. Maybe all of the thing that was once matter would now be energy.
Saying that it doesn't matter anymore.
That's right. I had that exactly. And I had that exact line in my bit.
I'm sorry.
It matters. It doesn't matter. It matters. It doesn't matter.
I mean, if I could come up with it and you could come up with it, anybody can come up with it. We're the two worst people in the world.
Oh my God.
What show was that from? I love that bit.
That was from a very early. It might have been from or it might have been from. What's this one where I had my Success Arms? Could have been one of my stand-up shows called Success Arms, or the. It was.
I think I saw you do it in one of the forum rooms.
Yeah, that's where I remember doing it the most.
And you, that's right. It's not a miracle. It's boring.
Yeah. It's not amazing. Isn't life amazing? No, it's not amazing. It's boring.
It's boring. These are some great lines out of context for the listeners.
Yeah. I'll do that bit again one day. I'll do it for a bloody TikTok.
It matters. It doesn't matter. It matters. I think I learned primordial soup that day as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love soup. I'm a big soup guy. Great winter meal.
Al, is this anything, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about a primordial black hole.
Yeah.
A primordial black hole shortened down to bowl, black hole bowl. Primordial soup goes in the primordial bowl.
That's really good.
Do you think this could all mean something?
Yeah, but could we also condense primordial soup into soup?
Soup?
Yeah.
Soup.
So in the bowl.
In the bowl. Soup in the bowl.
There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other theories were that you
don't need any other theories. We've got the right
soup in the bowl.
Okay, but other wacko theories. Let's hear some wacko ones.
Yeah, let's hear some wacko ones.
We assume it's the soup in the bowl, but
well, one was in the 60s were earthbound phenomena. So not coming from space, but coming from the Earth itself.
Oh, it's an inside job.
Vernishots, which are named after author.
Fernandina.
That's right.
Really?
Jules Verne. Are their speculative magma gas reactions that violently erupt from underground. Right. And so instead, the idea would be that, maybe it comes from the, from the Siberian, permafrost or something like that. A big bubble of gas emerges and just combusts. And somehow that would have created this blast.
That seems kind of feasible to me.
Yeah. Is that feasible?
I mean, it could be feasible, but then also that it would be pretty weird that there would be a center, that area where there would be no trees knocked down or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me explain that bit. But I feel like nothing explains that bit so far.
Yeah, you're right.
All of them are blasts.
It's almost like I'm purposefully avoiding the true solution so that I can tell you at the end.
Oh, yeah. God, he's good.
Why?
Yeah. Then we also got a recent study, and this is, there's so many studies on this stuff. A lot of them are, bullshit. Some people who are like, we think this lake might have been a crater. And then we looked under there, and a lot of the stuff is not more than 100 years old. Like that, like a lot of the silt there is less than 100 years old. Yeah, that could be that. And then other people go and check, and they go, we found some stuff that's older than 100 years old. And they go, yeah, but then we went back, and we found some stuff that was less than 100 years old.
But we saw there was a duck on the surface, and we asked, how old are you? And the duck said, I'm only 2. And 2 years old?
Now, that was after the event. So... and then there's another one where people, this is people suggesting that they were using a computer simulation because there's the possibility that it could be a comet, right? Now, you know the difference between a comet and an asteroid.
One's a reindeer.
That's right. That's right. There's actually, are both called reindeers? No, not asteroid. No, asteroid. Go on, Prancer, on asteroid. Meteor. Sorry, meteor.
A meteor will land. A comet will get in an orbit, right, and keep swirling past or whatever.
Yeah. Asteroid will keep going around.
Asteroid will keep going.
Keep going. A meteor will come into Earth, and comet can also come into Earth. But a comet is made out of like ice and gas and stuff like that. So people thought that maybe that explains why there's no crater, right? Because as it comes in, of course, it starts to heat up, and all that stuff would evaporate. And then suddenly you're like, bada bing, bada boom, no crater, like that. But
so Halley's Comet one day will possibly land. It'll burn up or land somewhere with it.
Well, I mean, that's a possibility. I don't think it will come. It will
not on Earth.
Intersect
Earth would be pretty unlikely.
But I think anything goes. Like Earth might collide with something at some point.
Right.
It's just it depends on how much time passes.
I think of us as anchored, but nothing's really.
Like we're moving around the sun, and the whole solar system is moving itself through space as well. There is no fixed point in the universe.
So don't call me lazy again, okay? Yeah. I'm not lying in bed. I'm on a big journey.
I'm actually moving very fast.
I'm moving through space, if you don't mind.
Are we going like 30,000 kilometers an hour around the sun?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Isn't that enough?
Yeah. It seems like enough.
You want me to do that? And wash my pants?
Yeah. Jesus Christ. And do the dishes
and
directly after I've cooked a meal?
No, 10,000 steps seems pretty pointless.
That's right.
You've got to do that every fucking day.
Especially if you're walking in the wrong direction. That's bloody... You're taken away.
It's counterintuitive.
Come on.
Well, these gentlemen here from the Siberian Federal University in Russia,
if you're walking the same way that Earth is traveling, it'll feel like you're walking on one of those travelators at the airport. Yeah. How powerful does that feel?
I feel like a god.
Especially if you stare at a distant star at the same time. You're like, whoa, I'm really zooming.
And you're overtaking other people. Like, what are you doing out there? Get on the travelator.
And then, but you're with your kid, and your kid's always going on the opposite way to the thing. You
come on, kid!
You're blocking up traffic.
They've called our flight.
Anyway, they simulated comets, that are mostly made out of ice, coming in to Earth. Even simulating ones that were up to like 200 meters wide, traveling at a speed of like 20 kilometers per second. And the simulation revealed that the friction with the atmosphere heated these objects to such a point that, they would have vaporized just way too early in the thing to be able to...
Even if it's huge and going real fast.
Even if it's huge and going really fast. And so...
Dang.
And then other people explain the lack of crater by saying, well, if there's no crater on the ground, it could be that the asteroid didn't actually hit Earth, but just entered Earth's atmosphere over Siberia and then just continued passing westwards.
Oh, I did a bit of a skim.
Yeah, like a little skim, like a little rock, off the top like that.
Stop.
Like that. And just but all that pressure still on the atmosphere would have created this kind of like hot air burst, which would have just, ended up with kind of an explosion that flattened trees in Siberia, leaving behind a plume of dust. But then it's just a drive-by, a little drive-by.
They kept going.
Yeah, exactly. And then just went on their merry way.
And then they found the asteroid like burnt out in an alleyway.
That's right. Yeah.
UK down the road.
Yeah, graffitied. But I think one of my favorite ones, the favorite theory, is that in 1964, in March, science writers, Altov and Viova, described...
It's an incredible name, that one.
They described what they think happened is that in 1883, the Krakatoa volcano erupted, which emitted a large flux of radio waves into space, which then intelligent beings on a planet orbiting 61 Cygni. It's about, I think, something like 3.4 parsecs away from here. If you were wondering, that's one of the stars out in space, right? It was interpreted. So intelligent beings on that planet or on a planet orbiting that star interpreted the radio signals as a message from Earth. They tried to answer us by directing a laser beam at Earth. And unfortunately, the laser was too strong. It's the Tesla problem again. And turned...
they're communicating with this volcano. Better laser back.
Yeah. Turned into... And it turned matter... it was too strong and turned into matter when it hit the atmosphere high over the Tunguska River basin. So the laser was so powerful. I don't know if you know this, but in a nuclear blast, matter can turn into energy. But I guess they're suggesting that sometimes energy can turn into matter as well, and then cause a big blast like that.
And these were two scientists that came up with this.
What science writers?
Okay,
so they were writing about a scientific thing.
Is the fiction silent there?
Hey, yeah, it's a silent science.
Silent science fiction.
Yeah. So
yes, it just feels like that's a hard one to prove.
Yeah. I mean, but you were right, as well, thinking like, if somebody's communicating with you with a volcano, you think, use a volcano to communicate back.
That's strange.
I like the idea of somebody kind of like using it like a volcano, like a telegraph thing, just going like, beep, 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 like that, but it's like that. As a kind
and
of
who
thing.
knows? What did we accidentally say to them?
That's right.
Was it an offensive volcano?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, who knows?
Imagine that. We volcanoed up some kind of alien slur.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So that's why you'd laser back.
Imagine those aliens came down here and the US Army went and tried to take them down. They're like, oh, they're happy to see us.
Yeah.
They're shooting all these beautiful messages at us.
So, I guess we want to know what probably actually happened as far as science knows to this point.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, I've heard so many great theories. First, I thought underneath the ground.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking laser.
Yeah, now you're thinking this definitely laser.
Volcano answer.
Well, which one of the options will it be?
That felt like when you go the gas bubble under the it's like when you're wearing board shorts into a pool.
Yeah.
And the shorts like take up a bunch of air and they bubble up and then you release. Maybe it was like that.
It's an embarrassing
Maybe
thing.
An alien went for one of those aliens who can swim in the earth.
Yeah.
We have to swim in water, but
some kind of giant mole person.
Yeah, mole alien.
Yeah.
And they
Siberian mole alien.
Siberian mole alien went swimming in the earth with their boardies on and collected a ball of gas.
Absolutely.
But they were also smoking a doob.
That's right.
No.
And when the gas that they'd collected in their boardies popped out the top, the joint sparked the explosion.
Man, it's worth it. You got to be careful in these tigers.
And they were sort of leaning up on the edge of the earth pool, and in that area they protected a bunch of trees that didn't fall.
That's right. That's where they were resting their chin and their arms.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, on that area. But then they kind of like, I don't know, their fingers fell through, and then they knocked all the branches off of the things. Yeah.
So I think that is as good of a theory as the alien sending a message.
Is it too late to change my guess?
It's not too late. It's never too late.
I'm gonna like that.
Well, let's go with what like roughly like NASA's guess and stuff is, right? What they believe is that on this day in June 30th, 7:06 a.m. roughly, 1908, a stony meteor about 50 to 60 meters across exploded at an altitude of 5 to 10 kilometers up.
Oh, okay.
Right? Over a sparsely populated forest in Siberia, which we now know as taiga. The resulting shockwave flattened an estimated 80 million trees. Not 800 million, 80 million. Still a
Thank
lot,
God.
I would say.
We just saved 720 million trees.
I mean,
That's a great result.
800 million, that would be unforgivable. So over an area of, I've said it in square miles before, but let's say it in kilometers now, 2,150 square kilometers.
That's so big.
It's a big area.
That's a big area, right? Now, the blast area, people have said that it looked like a giant, the shape was kind of like a giant butterfly. It was about 70 kilometers wide and 55 kilometers long. And the blast was like something like the equivalent of like 15 megatons, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you say tons or tons, but I say tons. I say both.
Ton up.
That
Now-
sounds big.
Yeah. So
None of these numbers are computing
No.
with me at all.
No, I'm so sorry.
I'm just saying they're so big that they're big. They're almost meaningless.
they're really
to me.
big. I should explain. That's like roughly.
How many MCGs?
It's I was genuinely about to go. It's about. I was about to go. That's about 30,000 swimming pools, Olympic swimming pools worth of dynamite.
Whoa. Okay.
Oh my God.
Thanks for putting it into terms I can understand.
God.
So it left no impact crater. And now, why would something like this? Why would a rocky thing explode midair?
Mm.
Right? Because that's kind of what I couldn't understand. Right? So, NASA estimates that the meteor would have entered Earth's atmosphere traveling at about 15 kilometers per second. Right? Not per second.
In a school zone.
Eh? In a bloody...
That's not on.
And it almost feels safe because you see 40 kilometers.
Yeah.
Even though that's per hour, you kind of, if you're driving at 15 kilometers per second, you go, 40 kilometers, I'm under that.
Yeah.
Because that's
I'm
what the
being
thing is saying.
cautious.
I better speed up.
Yeah. Put your foot down. Right? So that's roughly Mach 43.
Oh, wow.
Right? Or, this is a dumb joke that I've attempted, as I think Biden would say it, 43 times the speed of sound, Mach. Right. Sorry.
See, he refers to people as Mac.
I think so. I think he's like, hey, Mac. I think he does
love
say
that.
Mac. I love Mac.
I love that as a thing as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've seen that in like old American movies or something.
Yeah.
Maybe a trucker will be like, oh, come on, Mac.
Yeah, I think like Biden could have been in those old movies.
Dave loves or hates this about me. I get old ad jingles in my head forever.
Love it.
Me too.
Can I just say, on the record, is loving it.
Okay, yeah. It's on the record.
And you know the one that this is making me think of? The classic Makita. Give me my Makita back, Mac. Give me my Makita back, Mac.
Now I've got to ask, what is a Makita?
Yeah.
Bow tool.
And that song,
okay.
And that song was sung by Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't quite remember the verse, but it's something like, it's big, it's coarse, it's mine, not yours. Give me my Makita back, Mac. The big and
It's
coarse
beautiful.
bit
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
make any sense, but it was something like that. That's a placeholder.
I love that.
Mac had stolen one of these tools? Is that what we...
Yeah, I guess so.
Some kind of Mac, me them.
Give me my Makita back, Mac.
I picture a Macintosh, the Apple.
Oh, right.
You know, it's the blue.
Yeah, now you're saying it, but I was
drills
thinking that it was a chocolate bar, like a Makita, Chiquito, something like that.
Yeah. All right,
That's
now
what
I'm
I
going to get a tiny bit technical here, but
Okay,
all right,
here we go.
So how did one of these things explode? Well, despite moving through the rarefied upper reaches of the atmosphere, where the atmosphere is pretty scarce. It's lighter.
Sparse sounds right.
Yeah, it's not dense, right? it's going at such a fast speed that the meteor rapidly compresses the air in front of it, right? So then it experiences what's known as ram pressure. As the air in front of it compresses it, the temperature starts to rise really quickly in the air in front of it, right? Because it's like you're pushing the air faster than it can move out of the way. So it's just getting really dense and together.
Is it like when astronauts re-enter the atmosphere?
This is exactly what this thing is doing. It's
really
entering,
hot.
except not re-entering. It's entering.
Yeah, that's right.
This is the first time.
First time that
Unless
we
it's-
know of.
Yeah, unless the meteor's going, I'm coming back home, baby. You know, I mean, that's
I'm
the
back,
case
Mac.
if it's a bunch of Japanese people on a spaceship, that time traveling spaceship. That because then it is
Great.
re-entering.
Love that we could probably combine a few of these series.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone could be right here.
Yeah.
So then the air starts rising in front of this meteor, and it's not due to friction. It's rather than it's the adiabatic process, a diabatic process probably. So the consequence of many molecules and atoms being forced to occupy a smaller space. Ram pressure and yes, hit me, Matt.
No?
Oh, I thought you were about to say something. All right.
Sorry, Al.
No, it's okay. Ram pressure and the very high temperatures.
Look, you're right to think, because I do interrupt.
And you should.
At inopportune moments all the time.
Hey,
And you're starting to have my thoughts before even I do.
Oh, yeah, mate. I'm starting to think, I should say something. Matt should say something. So the ram pressure and the very high temperatures it causes are the reason few meteors make it all the way to the ground. Most simply burn up or are ablated into tiny fragments. Larger or more solid meteorites may explode instead. Right? So in essence, the meteor is ripped apart by its own speed, right? This occurs when fine tendrils of superheated air force their way into the cracks and faults of the meteor's surface, like the face of it. And once this high pressure plasma is entering into these gaps, into the meteor's interior, it exerts a tremendous force on the body's internal structure. And this occurs because the superheated air now is exerting a force over a much larger area, sort of like when the wind suddenly fills a sail. You know, you hear it kind of go like that. This sudden rise in the force is exerted on the meteor, overwhelms the body's structural integrity, and then it begins to break up, and then the breakup creates more surface area, which makes it break up even faster and creates a blast.
Right, and
Like
then
that.
just rock and shit flies everywhere.
Yeah, it's kind of like, even like when you're clicking your fingers like that, there's that moment beforehand where you're putting the pressure on your thumb like that, and then it's that quick release of all the energy at the same time. So this is not like an explosion in the same way a nuclear blast would be an explosion. This is an explosion, and it's like a huge release of pressure and kinetic energy and heat and all that kind of stuff, and it just goes like that, and it would go in all directions like that. But the things right below it, this is the thing that we were mentioning about how it's the force is traveling down, but it's traveling so fast straight down that it's breaking all the branches off.
Oh, yes. Stripping them off.
Yeah, stripping them off before, and because it's going directly down, sort of parallel with the tree trunks, the way that they're standing straight up, right? It's going vertically down like that, right? It's not knocking those trees over. So it's all the ones that are kind of hit at a blast angle.
Right, as it keeps going.
As it keeps going
expands.
outwards like that.
Is there any way we can use this knowledge for
good?
For just maybe to create products that can be sold?
Like get food into people's mouths and stuff like that.
Oh, I was thinking more like, more contraptions.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the technology of just getting a rock really high in the air.
Yeah.
And
maybe
then dropping
Makita
it.
could work on this.
I think Makita could do this.
It could be a good Makita lawnmower or something.
Absolutely. And then you just kind of lift it up, and then I guess you just drop it.
Yeah.
And then you could probably do that. I think we have basically most of the technology available to do that kind of thing.
I think
these
that
days.
could be really helpful. I mean, we could all, if you could use it to feed people as well, that could be good. I don't know if
feed people rocks.
Yeah, that's true.
Feed people blast waves. So like a lot of that blast would have been like moving at hypersonic velocity, as we know, because hypersonic is faster than sonic.
Whoa.
The hedgehog. Who travels at the speed of sound, I guess. That's why he's called that, I think.
That's why. Did you know there's characters in that, he's a hedgehog, but there's also one that's an echidna.
I didn't know that.
Isn't that weird?
They're not very fast-moving creatures.
No.
No.
They're real slow. But I guess hedgehogs aren't either, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. No, you're right. Although they probably can scuttle a little bit more.
I picked one up once.
Really?
No, that's not true.
An echidna or a hedgehog?
Well, the first time I was in England, we were out at the pub walking home, and the local I was there with goes, "Hey, look at this." And he picked up this hedgehog and goes, "Oh, look at this." And it was real freaking cute.
It would be so
It
cute.
was so cute.
Wow.
I hadn't thought about that in
You're
ages.
walking home.
Yeah, just walking home.
Just on
I
the
was
side of the road?
scurrying around a little English village.
It's tremendous.
So good.
Yeah.
Wouldn't do that to an echidna.
No.
Too much respect for him.
But you know, Andy's grandfather used to catch echidnas.
Andy Matthews.
Andy, yeah, for his because he worked for the CSIR. His grandfather worked for the CSIRO, but he was a soil scientist. But his friend was an echidna. He studied echidnas, and he said, "Hey, if ever you come across an echidna, just tap it on the side, like that, with your foot. Just tap it on the side like that, and he'll put his foot out because he feels like he's about to lose balance. And then you grab his foot and you put him in a bloody bag."
Don't release that information publicly.
All right, AJ, cut that out.
It's like cow tipping, but echidna tipping.
Yeah, echidna cat poaching.
They're like, oh, I'm about to fall. Chuck it in the bag.
When you say Andy, you mean your co-hosts on Two in the Think Tank.
Two in the Think
We
Tank.
haven't mentioned that today.
No, I'm so sorry.
Your podcast, what is it? You've been going for a long time.
Yeah, we've been going for
Since
actually, no, we hit 10
2012?
years. We hit 10 years just in June, I think.
Congratulations.
2013.
Thank
Well
you very
done.
much. Yeah, and we're going to do, well, we will have now done the 400th episode live stream about 2 days or 3 days before this is released.
And people will be able to watch that on...
People will be able
on
to
Stupid Old Channel
watch that
probably?
on Stupid Old Channel. So go there and see us probably talk for what will be maybe 24 hours, maybe hopefully not longer than that.
will me and Dave be on?
I would love for you two to be on if you could do that. But now obviously I'm talking to you guys after the date has happened.
Yeah,
so,
unfortunately.
So
I
it's
would have
actually
loved to
too
have done
late. If only I had some kind of Japanese spaceship, then I could go back.
Okay.
And I think I'll probably do that and then come back and see you guys. Really, finally, I just want to say some of this, the evidence of why they believe this is also been kind of not necessarily confirmed, but there was another event in 2013 above
the first ever episode of Two in the Think Tank?
It coincided with it. There was a big blast again over Russia.
Whoa.
Possibly due to a wireless sketch idea.
You don't know how powerful.
Yeah, from Tuna Think Tank. A much smaller meteorite came in over Chelyabinsk in Russia, but the largest since Tunguska. There's heaps of dash cam footage of this from 2013, but lots of people see this huge bright thing in the sky, huge trail, and then around 9 a.m. and then not long after, huge shock wave, and windows breaking and stuff like that for 1,500 people were injured. So this is this, which basically happens in the same way that they think that this Tunguska thing occurred.
Right. They're like, okay, this clearly happens in this region of the world.
But it could also be that maybe Tesla's back, baby.
Ah,
it could also be that.
yes.
So we don't know. Because, you think if he was so good at wireless, stuff, then maybe he would have been able to find a way for him to work without wires,
Do you think he's in the cloud?
Veins, he could be in the cloud.
Whoa.
And once every 100 years, he's releasing his death ray.
Well, but how long ago was that Icelandic volcano eruption?
That
Maybe the aliens saw that and were like, all right,
Oh, yeah.
fine, fire up the laser.
Yeah.
They've done it again.
Yeah, that could have been it as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
they finally got back to us. They've been sitting by the phone the whole time.
Yeah. You never know. There could be, who's sending the meteorites? Who's sending the meteors?
Yeah,
there
where
could be
are they
somebody who's
coming
just
from?
launching them.
Yeah.
All right, off you go. Like that and just into the, because if you wanted to do it and if you wanted to sort of damage Earth in a undetectable way, you'd just send something that looks like a rock.
Yeah. Space rock.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Space
clever.
rock.
A stony, you called it before.
A stony.
A stony, didn't you?
I was saying it was a stony object.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a technical term I haven't heard before.
A stony.
A stony.
A stony.
But speaking of stones, this is the correct theory from NASA, and it shattered basically, it exploded. Lots of rock went everywhere. That does sort of go with a lot of the anecdotes of the sky was raining rock.
Yeah, but a lot of the rock as well would have itself been dispersed, and so it would have just been probably broken up into tiny little things, little particles and things like that. And so then it was the blast and then the fires that started, the knocking down of endless trees, the kind of things like that. That would have made a lot of thumping sounds as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, and a lot of things getting, yeah.
Would
I assume, I don't know how much, but they've still never found any kind of actual rock. I think I saw something where they found maybe some particles in trees that were like, oh, this has got an unusually high amount of this material, which you normally only find in meteorites and things like that. You know, some metal, like, you know, lithium or something.
Right,
like that,
but no,
you know?
like bowling ball sized
Nothing yet.
bit.
Nothing yet. But it was just too swampy. You know, the swamp
Yeah.
swallows the
Swamp swallowed it.
Yeah. So, you know, but, you know, this is just NASA's opinion, though.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, I mean, they haven't
right.
said that, but I'm saying that. But
they've never been right before.
what do they know? I've seen a lot of mistakes that they've made in the past. Going to the moon.
Yeah.
A big mistake.
Yeah, you know,
That's gonna
hiring Elon Musk to do all their launches from now on. So yeah, I don't know, but what do you think? Tell us, let us know in the comments.
I'd love to know if people have theories. I honestly would. But when you described it at the start, it did make me go, holy shit, how is this not the most significant event to ever happen to mankind? It is so unbelievable.
It is a pretty strange one, and they say that something that size is, on average, probably going to hit Earth about every 300 years.
Oh, yeah, we're in the clear.
Yeah.
This is over 100 and bit years ago.
So, and just pure luck that it was on a relatively unpopulated area.
Yeah, I would say that was luck.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, you know.
Yeah, is that luck? Because I did say before, now thinking about it, I did say, well, there's evidence that these things happen in this area. But like, yeah, what are the chances that it's Russia or, I know it's the largest country on Earth, but like this part of Russia gets hit by meteors, like, why? How does that happen twice in 100 years in the same place?
Yeah, it is odd. I don't know. But it could also be like, you know, you hear people talk about like, why do we have meteors hit us? It's like, because there are still like asteroid belts out there, and there are certain times in our orbit where maybe we will go past one and our gravity will dislodge one, you know, like dislodge one from the gravity belt, and then it will start moving and maybe
pick off the weakest one from the herd.
Exactly. But it's like the weakest one then comes and attacks us.
Yeah. Great.
You know, like a bad lion. You know? It's like, I'll get the little weak baby like that, and then you get your ass kicked by the baby.
Pride of lions comes before the fall.
Yeah, and then you go, well, luckily it just hurt me on one of my 4 fingers I didn't need.
Because we're horses.
Yeah, we're horses. We're horse lions. Or lion horses.
Yes.
I mean, I just think this has got nothing to do with this, but imagine that a carnivorous predator horse.
Oh my God, that'd be unstoppable.
That.
Yeah, that would
Thank
be
God
pretty good.
they're not carnivorous.
That's
Thank
right.
God.
I mean, there could have been some, and we wiped them out.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, we just see that. You know, like
They shouldn't have come at us.
tigers are a bit like that, but they're, you know, I guess you could ride one. It would be like a horse.
What do you think is a horse? Something you can ride.
Something you can ride.
So the only thing this explanation doesn't explain to me,
Yeah.
tell me this, NASA, how did the mountains move?
Well, some of the reports, you know, are coming from people, and they're coming from people after, you know, 20 years and things like that. And so
Are you saying
perhaps the landscape could have shifted. You know, trees were falling. I suppose a tree could knock down at least a mound.
Yeah. And it could also just like...
But there was a mound there before.
Yeah.
And they all came too, right? So they were all basically knocked out by the blast.
Yeah.
Maybe they fell at a slightly different orientation to what they thought, and the whole landscape's changed. Maybe it looks like the mountains have shifted.
Yeah, and also there was seismic activity. Like they did see stuff in the ground. Like, you know, a shockwave did go through the ground. I don't know what it takes to move a lot of earth. I don't know what it takes to move a full mountain. Probably too much.
Yeah.
But you know, it also depends on what's their definition of a mountain. You know, and you know when you're speaking to people whose, you know, a culture and language is different to yours, interpreting words, you know, it was a hillock. You know, is a hillock a small hill?
Could have been it. Yeah. A hillock.
A hillini?
A hillini.
You know, a little hilito. You know, I'm just saying, you know, translations, we don't know. And also, I'm reading these things second and third hand from people who've taken it from. It was very hard to find the actual, like, documented, exact with eyewitness reports.
Yeah, it feels like the kind of thing that maybe is possibly exaggerated over time, over decades,
It's true. Exactly.
Have
over
you heard
generations.
I was, I think it was in a Bill Bryson book I was listening to.
Yeah.
He told this story about there was a meteor and this guy was like trying to figure out where is the crater. Could not figure it out. And then eventually they realized when they basically just had a look from a much bigger vantage point, the whole area was the crater.
Yeah.
It was so big that they were inside the crater looking for a crater.
Oh my God, Earth was the crater.
Yeah.
So is it possible that all of Siberia is now a crater?
It could be. It could be. Yeah. It managed to keep some of the trees up outside of that range there, but in the crater, I mean, it's quite possible. I mean, I think it wasn't until 50, 60 years ago that they found the Chicxulub crater, the one that they think took out the dinosaurs from that impact crater from that's in the ocean and things like that. It's hard to find, but the reason why they don't think that there's a crater is because in order to, craters also create a big splash out, and so then you should be able to find soil or rocks or, if it lands in an ocean, you can find seashells and stuff like that blast out into areas. I think, that's what happened with the Chicxulub one. They found ocean creatures out somewhere in inland America, hundreds of kilometers away. And that's why they were like, oh, well, this could be from that.
Would have been a wild ride.
A bit of a rough way to describe people from Florida.
Sea creatures? Or seashells? Yeah, no, that's good. That's fine. A lot of them are wrinkly and old, like a seashell.
I've got one final question.
Yeah?
Possibly a stupid one that you may have already answered and I just missed. Why is it called the Tunguska event?
It was near the Tunguska River.
God.
Yeah.
He's got an answer for everything.
He's answered them all.
Yeah. Tunguska was just an area thing. A lot of the time, it'd be cool if you could name events like that, like this. It's like the Michael Cool Guy.
Yeah, I thought it might be some one of the scientists came along and I'm Johnny Tunguska.
Yeah.
And welcome to my event.
Welcome to Jackass.
It did sound like
I'm gonna get hit. This is asteroid strike.
To my balls. We didn't. Did we hear what happened to Coolidge or Coolidge?
Who's Coolidge?
Oh, the scientist.
the guy that stole chocolate, that hid chocolates from
His
everyone.
name might not have been Kulik.
Kulik.
Oh, Kulik. Sorry, how would you have possibly known who I was talking about?
I'm sorry. Well,
so he didn't end up.
I mean, he went down in history.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yeah, they locked him up in the sanatorium for a while because he stole chocolates.
He went down. Didn't go up in history.
No, he didn't go up in history.
Like a winner.
If you give me 1 second.
But hopefully he's looking down on us now, knowing the truth.
Yeah. He's hanging out in the flying Japanese minibus.
God.
Just so that he served in the Russian military during the Russo-Japanese War.
Ooh. Oh.
He didn't agree with that.
But that was before. Theory. That was in 1904, so that was beforehand. Then he served with the Russian military during World War I. And then he became an instructor teaching mineralogy. But then in World War II, he again fought for his country, this time in a paramilitary militia. And he was captured by the German army and he died in a prisoner of war camp of typhus. So that's fun.
Isn't that a wild sub-story about him? It's like, oh, by the way, he was also fought in multiple wars.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it has a big impact when you study a big impact like that, and you're especially if you're the first person to sort of, actually write it down that you did it, and then you also make a big deal about yourself in the media and things like that.
Yeah.
It's how you get yourself inscribed into history. And also, he looked pretty cool. He had cool round glasses. Here you go. There he is.
Oh my God, that guy! He looks Russian. I'll tell him that. I'll tell you that. I reckon if you got AI to draw a Russian man from the olden days, that's him.
Yeah, absolutely. That the AI would find it very difficult to avoid that.
Yeah.
That's the test, actually.
Yeah.
To find out if they're a computer or not.
And he also had a crater on the moon named after him, Kulik.
Is that ironic?
How ironic?
No, it's not ironic.
Isn't it ironic?
But they're like,
that's Alanis Morissette style ironic.
No, but he couldn't find a crater down here, so we'll name a crater up there.
They finally got his crater.
Thanks so much for coming here again for Block Al. It's been an absolute pleasure. So people can find your show. Well, I mean, there's 300, 400 episodes.
Do you think because I mentioned a crater at the end, this is technically an orifice episode?
I think it is. I think it is.
You couldn't resist.
What are we going to call it? Not a hater for the crater.
Yeah. Must get that Tunguska.
Dave, your turn. Turn into a porn title. That's how you do your best work. Tunguska. How would you make the Tunguska porn parody?
Like tonguing Guska's.
Yeah.
Tonguing Gus's car or something like that. Cum. Yeah, there you go. Tonguing Gus's cum.
Okay, there we go.
Is that good?
Event.
Is that something? This is event cinema.
This is event pornography.
Al, so we'll, people can find you, Two in the Think Tank.
They can find me too in the Think Tank. They can listen to Shusher Guided Meditations if they want. There was a recent episode put up a month ago, and I was going to try to continue. And I'll mention it here, but it may not exist by the time this comes out. But I am constantly considering starting the ATB Podcast, right? The ATB podcast, right? And which will be...
I had to spell it out of my head. I was like, that was okay. Yep.
Right. And which will be a collection of shows that will live under that one umbrella. I think one of them could be the Willy Nilly Silly Billy Camilli, right? Which is where I interview people, but every 15 minutes we have to do a minute where we're doing silly voices in character, and then we go back to
their like childhood trauma.
Then we go back to their childhood trauma. It's a childhood trauma interview show with silly voices.
Keep it silly, Billy.
That sounds like fun.
And there'll be other shows in there. Possibly I love those narrow themes podcast.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a show. It's a narrow themed podcast about narrow themed podcasts.
Oh, great. Could you do an episode about primates?
Primates could be the first episode.
Great.
Yeah, I think it feels like that would be the best thing. Could I interview you for it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, great.
You should also bring back your podcast about the joke that everyone tweets all the time.
I did do one episode of this, so I think I'll bring it back. It's the a group of white guys is called a podcast. And it's all about that joke and that concept and what it means to be white and doing podcasts.
I think it's curious as to whether or not how many of the people who tweet it think they've come up with it.
Yeah, that is really interesting.
And if they actually have, because it's it's a joke that a lot of people could come up with for sure.
Absolutely.
But it feels like not that many people who would tweet it that often.
Yeah. But it would be great to do, little episodes about different people who've tweeted it. And maybe asking them if they think that they've come up with it themselves or whether they saw it.
Yeah, is that one of yours?
Yeah.
Because we do have evidence of 3,000 people tweeting it before you, but...
Yeah. So that kind of stuff. There'll be all sorts of kind of episodes. I might even do an episode, a podcast on there called The Collectibles, which is a game that Otis and I, my kid, play when we walk to school, which is, I think, basically an idea that Otis has come up with, which is basically Pokemon, but we've come up with the the characters themselves.
You got to collect them all.
You got to collect them, and they're called collectibles. and I've come up with one. One's called the Grumbling Grump, and he evolves into the Grumpy Grouch. Yeah,
I mean, incredible. I mean, it sounds like it could be a multi-billion-dollar franchise. Or at least a children's book.
Absolutely. I think it's a darker. I'm trying to push it into a darker,
Grumblier.
grittier, grumblier. Pokemon.
Great. So we're going to look out for that. Possibly
the ATB Podcast.
As we say goodbye to the great man, Alasdair Tremblay-Birchall, we say hello to everyone's favourite section of the show. Where we get to thank some of our fantastic Patreon supporters. And if you want to get involved, Dave, where do you have to go?
You go to patreon.com/dogoonpod.
And supporting us on there also supports our other podcasts in this mini podcast network. What else have we got, Dave?
We've got Book Cheats. I'm back doing classic books. I've read them so you don't have to. Summarising them and making a bit of fun with some guests. We got Who Knew It with Matt Stewart. You've recently celebrated 1 full year of everyone's favourite comedy quiz show.
Yes, and it was beautiful to celebrate with. At the time of recording, it's going to be with the same lineup as episode 1. Jess, Dave, and Soren, just to see how far we've come in a year. And Dave, your book cheat. What are the 2 comeback episodes? What are the topics?
I've done A Good Man is Hard to Find by Flannery O'Connor.
AKA Fergal Sharkey.
Yeah, that's right.
Man,
that was with you and Kirsty Wiebeck. And then I did a recent one on Goodbye, Mr. Chips with great guests Chris Ryan and Luke Heggie.
So good. And who knew it? It's basically it's a podcast about... It's a comedy quiz, basically, where the guests have to come up with fake answers to questions, similar to the old game Dictionary. So it's a lot of bluff and a lot of fun, I would say.
A lot of bluff, a lot of bluster.
And there's a couple other podcasts in the network that are quietly puttering away. Listen Now, podcast about classic albums, mainly, and also Primates, which is about primates in popular culture. Anyway, so you're supporting all those when you support us at patreon.com/dogoonpod. And this part of the show, we thank these great supporters. The first thing we do, apart from anything else, people on different levels get 3 bonus episodes a month.
That's right. We've recently hit 190 bonus episodes.
And it's soon going to go to 4 a month if we hit our target, which we are creeping towards over the months. It looks like, yeah. I reckon by the end of the year, we'll be doing 4 a month, hopefully, if it keeps ticking over in the right direction.
And the 4th one each month will be a Dungeons & Dragons campaign.
I'm looking forward to it. It was so much fun last one we did. There is a campaign already up there if you sign up. 4-episode campaign we did with Dungeon Master Anna Carnavalet.
It was so much fun. I'm looking forward to doing it again.
And yeah, there's a bunch of other things. You have to vote for topics. And you also get, if you're on the Sydney Scheinberg level, you get to be involved in the Fact, Quote, or Question section, which is this section, which actually has a jingle, goes something like this.
Fact, Quote, or Question. Ding.
We always remember the ding. He always remembers the sing. And in this section, people who sign up on the Sydney Scheinberg level get to give us a fact, a quote, or a question, or a brag, or a suggestion, or really whatever they like. And I read 4 of them out each week. The first one this week comes from Danielle and Adam Osborne. And they also get to give themselves a title. Danielle and Adam have the title The Aquabolt and the Undead Raven. Beautiful names for boys or girls. And the Aquabolt and the Undead Raven have a brag writing, "Hi guys, we have been enjoying the pod for many years and love meeting Matt and Dave plus the extended Dugon family in Bristol last year.
Oh, what a great place.
You guys are also lovely. We love you too, Jess." Well, I like that you put that in brackets because she can't hear it. Although I'm sure she's listening right now. Shout out to you, Jess. Hopefully
Hi, Jess.
You are alive and well. She's just away. She's away, that's all.
Yeah, that's right.
We mentioned
She's
that
away.
on this episode yet? She's away doing fun things. She's doing the farewell tour for Hobber and Hing.
That's right. Away, saying goodbye to the Triple J listeners because the show that she appeared on for a few years there, Hobber and Hing, has finished up, and also their podcast.
Simply the Jest.
I nearly thought, my mind went to Who Knew It with Jess Perkins. I was like, that's not right.
That was right. Something
I know it's something to do with their name. Yeah, Simply the Jest. A great show. And yeah, they're doing a bit of a farewell tour that she's part of.
But Aquabolt and Undead Raven go on to say, "Over the past 3.5 years, we have been creating, playtesting, and illustrating our first board game, and we're about to run a Kickstarter campaign starting on the 1st of September 2023. Well, that's already started. Did I say this is a brag? So this is...
Love a brag. Love a board game. So
Yeah.
here we go. Tell me more.
Our game is called Meteor Heroes. How appropriate is that for this episode?
Oh my God.
Isn't that incredible? And we always ask a question to introduce the topic of the game. Does this sound familiar? The question is, what word do you think of when describing a hero? Oh, what do you think, Dave?
Heroic.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Honestly.
Yeah, stoic. Is that anything?
Stoic. I think maybe
Heroic and
brave.
stoic. Brave, yeah.
But heroic and stoic is good.
They say our answer is always fame because the heroes in our game are only interested in one thing, becoming the most famous hero in Justice City. In the game, you can collect powers, creating your unique superhero identity. Our favourites are in our title. Oh, the Aquabolt and the Undead Raven. You hop around the city resolving petty crimes and events to become famous around Justice City. But beware of crisis turning up, as if you can't solve them, your fame will be taken away. It is a competitive game using area control strategy and push your luck elements at its core. If you want to find out more about the game, search Meteor Heroes on Kickstarter. there's the link, kickstarter.com, and it's Never Yellow Games /Meteor-Heroes. But yeah, I think if you just search Meteor Heroes. But isn't that incredible? These just come up when they come up in our in order of when people suggest them, and I try and keep the submissions make it fair. So if people haven't had one read out for a while,
I'm on their Kickstarter. I found it. Great artwork. This game looks really fun, and I've got some good news. The goal has already been met.
Oh, well done!
Congratulations. They're about double their goal.
When does it?
They've got a little banner here saying 100% funded in less than an hour.
Wow. When
Congratulations.
is the deadline? Because this episode probably maybe comes out.
Unfortunately, it's only got 8 days to go at time of recording, so it's finishing up at the 22nd, 23rd of September.
Well, I mean, the fact that it's reached the goal, I can assume it's getting made. So, yeah, maybe with your next fact quote or question, Danielle and Adam, you can let us know where people can get hold of the game.
Yeah, that's right.
That's so exciting! Congratulations! I'm gonna kick in after we stop recording now as well. I reckon, because I'm just one of the good guys. I'm just looking for points in the game. Do you think that'll get me points?
Absolutely.
I think it should give you, starting points every time you play if you Kickstarter. If you kick into the Kickstarter, I think that's only fair.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Danielle and Adam. Just Danielle and Adam, just want to note that Dave did not say he was kicking in. The next one comes from Lauren.
I'm not kicking in, I'm starting it. Kickstarting.
Lauren, aka Professional Cat Patter and Annoyer, has a joke writing, before I get to the joke, I just want to say you guys are the best. Oh my God. Lauren, please, stop it.
Stop it. No, you are.
Oh my God, that was very nice. Lauren goes on to say, this podcast keeps me going through my 12-hour night shifts doing coal testing.
Coal? How are we selling coal?
COAL. What other coal would it be?
I don't know. Still, but do you know what coal testing is?
Yeah, I'm guessing it's sort of just get a lump of coal.
Yeah. What are we testing
for? Do
for?
the bite test. Is it real?
Yep. Tastes like coal.
Oh, no. This is fake coal. Put it in the fake coal bin. My co-workers are always wondering what I'm cackling about when listening to you. Oh, that's so fun. Now for the joke. It's short and sweet. Ready, Dave?
Okay, ready. Hit me. Hit me with the laughs.
I walked past someone the other day with 12 boobs. Sounds funny, doesn't it? And then Lauren says, get it?
Get it? Doesn't tit.
Doesn't tit.
Now, is tit capitalized and bolded on your screen?
It isn't. And I don't think it needs to be because it's a subtle joke that subtle people would get.
Doesn't tit.
Doesn't it?
Because there's 12.
12?
Yep.
Boobs.
Great. That's good stuff.
I'm not 100% sure you get it, Dave.
That is 100% a joke.
Lauren, thank you so much. Please get back in touch and let us know what your job is. Coal tester.
And what does coal taste like?
It's like a skill tester. I'm picturing little lumps of coal and you got to get the claw down, pick it up.
Yeah.
The next one comes from Jason Wessner. Okay, CEO of Wait a Minute, is this thing on? How do you work this stupid thing? Hello? And Jason has a quote writing, this is a bit of a fact and a quote all in one from Neil deGrasse Tyson. Quote, just an FYI, if you removed all veins, arteries and capillaries from your body and laid them end to end, you would die. What a devil.
That's good stuff.
He is a devilish wit. Neil deGrasse Tyson. I can't hear his name without thinking of Degrassi Junior High. And
even the way you say it makes me think, I think of Degrassi from the way you, I don't know. You have.
Is it pronounced differently?
No, like there's something in like your, I don't know, presentation of the words. Maybe I can understand, I can hear in your mind you thinking about Degrassi. I don't know how, but I can.
Yeah, maybe that's got to be one of a fake answer on Who Knew It at some point that I can use. Neil deGrasse Junior High Tyson. All right. Thank you so much for that, Jason Wessner. And finally, from Amy Clark, aka Brigadier General Forgettable Name, with the fact, Amy writes, did you know that three-toed sloths have extra neck vertebrae that allow them to turn their heads 270 degrees? Can you imagine being a Spanish conquistador I didn't quite know that. Spanish conquistador, slowly making your way through the rainforest by torchlight, hearing a rustling in the trees above you when you illuminate the source of the sound. It's one of these creatures which then turns its head completely around with a smile on its face. I know they're incredibly cute and people are not generally afraid of them these days, but I imagine these early sightings by foreigners, especially at night, as in my imagined scenario, may have spawned some legends about demons and other evil spirits in the rainforest. Cheers! Fully. They don't like anything that can turn its head all the way around smiling.
Yeah.
That's scarier than someone turning around frowning, for instance.
Yeah, you're thinking, what have they got planned?
You picture them also saying, hello. Something like that. Great fact, Amy Clark. Appreciate that very much. And thanks so much to Jason, Lauren, Danielle, and Adam as well. What a fantastic little series of facts, quotes, and questions. And like I say, if you want to get involved in those, go to the Sydney Scheinberg level or above. The next thing we like to do is shout out to a few of our other fantastic supporters. Jess normally comes with a bit of a game. Dave, do you think you could come up with that one this week?
Ooh, okay. Tunguska event.
Yeah. Maybe their wild theory on what did it.
On what caused?
What caused the Tunguska?
Okay, the question is, do they know what's causing it?
Do they know what's causing it?
And we have the answer.
Now, do you want, I reckon last week, I think it was. No, a few weeks ago, whenever it was, where Jess was away, one of us read out the names, the other one. Do you want to do it like that again?
Okay, great.
Which one do you want to do?
I think you read them out last time, and I
did the nicknames last time, but it was a much easier job because I was just reading them as well.
Oh, that's right. I'm thinking of another episode. Okay, back to me then. Yeah. You read them out.
Here we go. Because I like this about you. We know from the Triptych Club section that you think quick on your feet.
My mind is a steel trap.
Yeah. All right. So, if I can thank for their great support from, how's this place? King City in Ontario in Canada. Adam with Cats.
Wow, cheers to the king. What about, it was someone's 21st birthday. Someone thought it'd be funny to bring some fireworks.
Yep.
But obviously this is 100 plus years ago. They weren't that sure about the ratio. One thing led to another. They had a few drinks. It just got out of hand.
Yeah.
There's one really, really, really big firework.
And when the parents were coming home, they quickly tried to put things together. They started putting trees upright again in the middle, but they ran out of time.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's that one section of trees that are
that was them cleaning up.
Yeah.
They thought they'd get to all 800 square miles, but they didn't quite do it.
Thank you so much, Adam with Cats. A fantastic name. I'd also love to thank from Pueblo West in Colorado in the United States, Danny Lowrow.
Danny Lowrow was a part of this, and it was all just a prank.
That's a massive hoax.
You've probably heard about cow tipping.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's actually even a real thing. But you
crop circles.
Push over
very different pranks.
But putting both together,
yeah.
Pushing a cow over. They just started pushing trees over.
Yeah, tree tipping.
That's what this was.
Which is also that's what crop circles are as well, right? They just
they flatten
crop tipping.
Yeah, that's. But
you just everything becomes through the lens of cow tipping. So you're like, what do you want, a cup of tea? Oh, you mean tea tipping?
Anything you push over.
Anything you push over, you're putting the tea bag into the mug.
Can you cow tip us a glass of water?
Yeah.
From that jug?
Just water tip
it in to that glass. So yeah, a prank completely out of hand.
Yeah. Tree tipping.
Danny
Lowrow, you are diabolical.
Yeah, dog.
Thank you so much. I'd also love to thank from Derby in Great Britain. It's Jonah Luckett.
I think that Jonah Luckett was directing a student film. And obviously, Jonah Luckett doesn't do anything by halves.
No.
They wanted aliens. They wanted it to look good, so they had to flatten 800 square miles of wood. Fortunately, don't worry, they got a permit. It's all above board.
Yeah. Permit got lost.
Unfortunately.
And also then the council, there was a bit of a cover-up. They said, if you don't tell anyone, we won't tell anyone.
It's okay. And then Jonah said, actually, you know what? I'm going to move on. I'm going to make a different movie anyway. It's all good.
Something I forgot to ask Al. I'd love to know if there's a photo from above. Would that have been possible at the time? I'd love to see, now you'd put a drone up and get a great photo of it. But
yeah,
at the time, would that have been possible? I guess the plane could have flown over in in the decades after,
Well,
maybe?
the decades after, yeah, but it's also very...
Because it was, 20-something years later that it still looked pretty similar.
Yeah, from then they could have. I wonder if there's any photos even now.
Yeah, really interested. But we'll never know because Al's left the building.
Yeah, Al's gone.
How about we thank from Kenmore here in Australia, in Queensland, it's Paula Arayu.
Paula Arayu.
You happy with Arayo there?
Arayo?
Arayo or Arajo?
I'm not sure. I assume it would be a y at the end. But
Great
Paula is a big... this is actually... they talk about like the IPL, the Indian Premier League, the 2020 thing. That was obviously a big breakaway. Like they made their own league or whatever over there. And now there's the Caribbean League.
Yeah. Big Bash in
there's
Australia.
Big Bash. There's
the 100 in England.
They've got that. They've got the Pakistani one. They've all got their own 2020 leagues, and everyone's like, "Wow, this! They've modernized the sport." But did you know that they're actually trying to set up Russian 2020? And what they were doing was creating a series of ovals to play the game. But unfortunately, the backer, which was probably Kerry Packer, pulled the money out, and they were just left with half-built ovals.
Right.
And that's what all the flattened trees were.
Okay. They did the first bit of building an oval.
Yeah.
Exploding the trees.
Yeah, exactly. They started clearing the land, but then there were a few industrial disputes, and then it's lost to history, and then they think that 2020 is actually a new game. It's not at all.
No.
And Paula was there at the start.
Paula, so sorry that Kerry Packer, the backer, pulled out. I'd also love to thank from Sacramento. We've had King City, we've had Queensland, and now we've got the Sacramento Kings, home of Sacramento, California in the US. It's Isabel McTeer.
Isabel McTeer. Okay. Isabel McTeer.
I think what she did was she had this plan for above ground pools in Siberia to house blue whales. So that to be really big above ground pools.
Massive.
And they had them there for a little while, but it turns out it was not the ideal climate. They froze solid.
Yeah, they did it in summer and they thought, this is great.
Yeah.
They're loving it.
But, so they ended up having to, by the next summer, it all melted and they had the blubber and everything. They had to get rid of all that. So they exploded the evidence.
Oh, no, they exploded the whale, I know.
And then, just the huge round, what looked like blast zones would just, have you ever seen, like as a kid, I remember a friend had an above ground pool. When they got rid of it, the grass underneath was all dead.
Ah.
Just think of a bigger version of that.
Yeah, a big above ground pool.
Yes.
Like a really big one.
Big enough for a blue whale.
Yeah. Does it still have
pod of blue whales.
Still have the little ladder that you lower in?
Yeah. Only that ladder's big.
Yeah, it's like 50 meters deep.
Still, to a whale, it's little, but it's actually quite big.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Isabel. From San Antonio in Texas in the US, I'd love to thank Larissa O'Neill.
Larissa O'Neill is an alien tour guide.
Oh, okay.
She was there sort of guiding them in. Come on over. Siberia's in the middle of nowhere. No one's going to see this. Oh dear. Few people have seen it. You better go.
Yeah.
You've got to go. Mum's home.
Mum's home.
You got to go. So
an alien's 21st.
Yeah.
Are we?
Mine are all big 21st themed.
We're already repeating ideas.
Hey, but this one's with aliens.
Yeah. They're back now in alien form. Larissa O'Neill. And also tour guide.
Yeah.
Come on, there's a brand new spin on this.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well,
I know I was the one casting aspersions, but I'm also saying, back off Dave. He's brought a new flavour to this.
Let me go.
Let him go. Let him work. Thank you so much, Larissa. I'd also love to thank from Columbus in Ohio, God's country itself in the United States. Is it the Freak, Ian Harvey? Remember the Freak?
That's the nickname of Ian Harvey.
Yeah, the Victorian cricketer. Great Yorker bowler at the death in one days.
It's
all-rounder.
I can't think of what he looks like, but yeah, definitely.
Ian Harvey.
Oh, there he is, coming up. 1972.
Yeah.
73 one-day internationals.
Nicknames, Halves and Freak.
That's great.
What does Freak give you anything? Or Halves?
Halves.
He was nicknamed Halves because he was always trying to split things. He's like, oh, I want to. They were at a restaurant. Oh, I feel like chips, but I don't feel like a whole thing of chips. I want to go halves, and that's how I got the nickname.
Ah, right, great. Every nickname's got a story, and that's Ian Harvey's nickname.
The Freak. Apologies if it's Iron Harvey.
Oh my god! Imagine their whole life they're being compared to the Freak Ian Harvey.
Yeah, and they're like, I'm not Ian Harvey. I'm Iron Harvey. I'm from the school of Iron's earrings.
I can't believe that I've already done my cricket explanation before we got to Ian Harvey. What other possible explanation could there be for the Tunguska event?
Oh, well, what I was thinking was they try to get. Oh my god, I was about to say a water park, but my other one was pools. What
about
it is harder than it looks.
What about a 21st?
What about a 21st at a water park?
Oh, he's done it.
So this one's going to blow your mind because Ian Harvey, his theory is that an unknown planet, it's a weird planet because it's invisible.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a big, heavy, globe, a big, beautiful globe. And it crash landed into the Earth at pretty slow pace, but no one could see it. And on that planet, the aliens were having a 21st birthday. So there were sparks and all that, but that was just frivolities for them. And they were, the guy who was driving the planet that night had had a couple too many alien beverages.
Oh, no.
Which is what they call booze.
ABs.
Yeah, ABs. Where's your ABV? And yeah, so they stacked in there, but couldn't be seen. They backed out again, leaving us with the mess to clean up. Us being humanity.
Yeah, planet Earth.
Yep.
On your Ian Harvey.
How about, thank you so much, Ian. So how about from Hazelbrook in New South Wales, Australia, Jay.
It's Jay, and Jay farted.
Jay farted.
Jay did a really...
Who farted? Remember
Jay.
that famous question? Yeah. That was Jay.
Who farted? Jay did
Who
a really,
farted?
really...
That was the name of a racehorse.
Yeah, that's so good.
Hoof
hearted.
Hearted. That's good stuff.
Who farted?
Who
farted goes into the third.
I mean, people say horse racing is not the sport of kings. I mean, who says that?
An idiot.
That argument was put to bed the day that Hoof-Hearted was born.
Hoof-hearted. No, not hoof-farted. Hoof-hearted.
Hoof-hearted, please.
But Jay did fart.
Yes.
In Siberia.
Jay, if Jay doesn't... Oh, no, Jay will know who they are. There's not many Jays from Hazelbrook in New South Wales, I would think.
That did a big fart.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jay. And finally, from Montclair in New Jersey in the United States, it's Chuck Appleseed.
Chuck Appleseed. Gosh, I hope that's your real name. It's Ripper.
That's a ripper dipper.
Chuck Appleseed. Any thoughts?
Try to get a veggie patch going.
Really, really big veggie patch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Chuck Appleseed is a nom de plume, or however you say that. His real name is actually Jack and the Beanstalk.
And this is the site of Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah.
A big beanstalk. That makes sense.
Yeah. And the beanstalk took all the nutrients out of the ground, meaning all the other plants, like Siberian firs, Siberian pines,
Siberian mint,
Siberian gum trees. They all went, and since then the beanstalk has been felled. It's been felled. But Chuck made off with a golden goose, so he's happy. So, Thank you so much, Chuck, Jay, Ian, Larissa, Isabel, Paula, Jonah, Danny, and Adam. Your support means so much to us. And we thank you for being you. And the last thing we need to do is welcome a few people into the Triptych Club. Now, Dave, you explain this better than anyone. What is the Triptych Club?
The Triptych Club, it's kind of like our hall of fame for people that have been supporting the show for a long, long time. A thank you, a shout out, a pat on the back, a welcome home, if you will. These people have been supporting the show on the shout out level or above for 3 consecutive years, never dropped away. We've already given them a shout out, a couple of years ago, but to enshrine them forever, to thank their support, we put their name on a wall. We welcome them into the clubhouse. We get them onto the red carpet and we say, thanks for coming. And you're never going. Because why would you want to leave?
Why would you want to leave?
So basically, it's our theatre of the mind hangout zone.
Some people call it a front door. We call it a one-way valve.
Yeah. Once you get sucked in, you'll never get sucked out.
Never again.
Never again. But we serve them food, we serve them drinks. The menu gets longer every week. We have live music. I always book a band.
Jess is normally behind the bar, and she is still there tonight. She's just doing it via Brisbane at the moment. And I think Jess let me know that tonight behind the bar she is serving crater cakes and Tunguska cocktails, and they include like super fizzy drinks.
Okay.
Yeah, all of them mushed in together. And then what she does is gets a soda stream and fizzes it up some more. So it is, pumping with fizzy juice.
Ready to go.
Yeah, it is ready to go. So get ready to pop that top. It will take an eye out if you're not careful. And Dave, what band have you booked?
Well, people will be yelling at their iPods if I don't mention that the reason that Tunguska really sticks out to my mind is it is the name of the 8th episode of the 4th season of the great show, The X-Files.
Oh, great.
Do you remember this? Mulder travels to Russia to investigate the source of a black oil contamination. A classic episode in the overall arc of the show. And this week, in celebration of that, you're never going to believe who I've been able to book in.
Don't tell me Catatonia.
Oh, I wish we could get the Welsh voice of an angel to come out tonight. But we have got none other than X-Files composer, creator of the do-do-do-do-do-do himself to perform it live, Mark Snow. If you're doing that live.
I hope his voice holds up.
Yeah, he will be doing it all a cappella.
I was also going to say, Dave, I reckon I was just looking as I was putting together this list. We have got Patreon supporters on the shout out level who are coming up to 7 years. 7 years.
7 years.
And I'm thinking maybe we think of a new club,
We can't do another club.
I'm thinking for the decade.
Within the club.
For those who make the decade.
Well, I've got to tell you that we've
got 3 years to come up with an idea for it.
It's been in the news this week that that Qantas has the lounge that people can become members of. Then they've got the business lounge if you're on business class flights. But then they also have the chairman's lounge, which is invite only.
Yep.
And is behind a secret door within the lounge type thing. We could have a secret door within the Triptych Club.
Yes.
Where you get taken out the back, not shot. You'll be taken out the back and pampered with like the Decade Club or something. We'll think of something.
Yes. We got 3 years to think of something. If anyone has any suggestions, let us know.
But
Jess will enjoy that I've put that forward in her absence.
this end bit can go even longer every week.
But no, I think if they're around for 10 years, tell me they don't deserve another shout. Tell me, Dave.
Oh, I won't
Dave,
say
tell
it.
me. Go on.
I won't.
Because you can't.
No, because you're threatening me.
So we got 4 inductees into the Triptych Club tonight. And I'm standing on the door. I'm about to lift a velvet rope. I'm going to read out these names. Dave's on stage, mic in hand, ready to hype you up as you enter. I'm going to call out your name, lift the rope. You run in. Dave's hyping you up. Everyone who's already in the club will be chanting your name. You might not necessarily hear it on this. We don't have great audience mics here, but you will hear Dave.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Are we ready to go? Dave normally does a bit of weak word play based on your name or your hometown. So just to prepare you for that, he's not being disrespectful. He's being very respectful.
Very respectful. Giving you the respect you deserve.
All right. First up from Kawasaki in Japan, it's Chiharu Nishimoto.
More like Kawasaki, yeah.
Oh, Dave, you've done it. From Claremont in Tasmania, Australia, it's Daniel Remington.
Daniel Remington, the man of steel.
From Santa Monica in California in the United States, it's Margot Kay.
Do Margot in, okay?
And finally, from Plainfield in New Hampshire in the United States, it's Dan Dry.
I thought I wanted to Dan Die, but now I want to Dan Dry. Come on in.
Welcome in. Make yourselves at home. Dan, Margot, Daniel, and Chiharu. So good. 4 people from 3 different corners of the globe. Love to hear it.
All converging on the club.
Make yourselves at home. Grab yourselves a crater cake and a Tunguska cocktail.
Yeah.
But be careful.
Be careful.
Very fizzy.
As you chill out to the music of Mark Snow. Iconic. Yeah, I'm looking it up now. That song peaked at number 2 on the UK singles chart.
That's hectic. There was a remix of it, though. I remember getting a bit of play. Am I thinking of that? Am I correct on that? Or am I thinking of the Doctor Who one?
No, this definitely had a remix, but I'm wondering if that's the version, because early 96 it got to number 2.
That's incredible. The world had X-Files fever. And I didn't want a cure. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the episode. Anything else we need to tell people, Dave?
Hey, if they want to support the show, you can do that at any time at patreon.com/dogoonpod. And if you want to get in contact or hear our other pods or get links to our merch or suggest a topic, all those links can be found at our website, dogoonpod.com.
Yes, and anyone can suggest a topic at any time. There's a link in the show notes, or you can go to our website, dogoonpod.com. I think it's /submit-a-topic or something. You just look.
It's
there's
easy
a button
to click.
there.
It really is easy to click. I cannot emphasize that enough. But we've got 7 more topics for Blockbuster-tober. Is that correct? Am I using counting properly there?
Blockbuster-tober into Blowvember.
Oh, that's right.
We've annexed an extra month now. Blockbuster-tober, Blocktober grace period goes for 1/6 of the year.
You're right. Never thought about that like that. Love it. All right, we'll be back next week. Thanks so much for listening. Until then, I'll say goodbye.
Later.